Hello everybody, and just here and welcome to Mecha-ude episode 1, a show that I know very little about. I know basically the only things that we've seen during the seasonal stream. If you weren't there, then you can check out the VOD, it's probably gonna be somewhere in the corner. But yeah, I know very little about it. I know that the original run, that was, I believe, like a single episode OVA kind of thing, got crowdfunded, and then it got enough popularity and recognition that now we have like a full, proper 12 episode run of it. Which is interesting. You don't often see crowdfunded anime, right? The only other one in my recent memory would be uh, not Somali, some other anime where a little girl met like a forest monster, wizard, creature. You know what I mean? Maybe, maybe not. But yeah, you really don't often see that. So it's very interesting to me just because of that fact alone. But also, we get some not quite partial henshins, but rather not quite partial henshins, not quite Mecha Musume either, right? It's kind of like Symphogear, but not Symphogear. Kind of like Fully Coolie, maybe. I don't know. I just know that it's an anime where some sort of aliens or something arrives to Earth, and they like cause hands to grow out of people's backs or something like that and take them over. But some of those aliens are good, and our main heroes have those good aliens with them, and they use those mechanical arms to fight the evil aliens. Something like that. I really don't know the full story of it. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see where it goes. Anything else I know about it? Yeah, as I said, not quite Mecha Musume, because I believe the main character is it's not quite a Musume. Main character is a boy, and it kinda smells a little bit of Kiseiju, right? Parasite the Maxim, or whatever title you know it as, right? With the hand taken over by an alien and stuff like that. I wonder. I wonder where it goes. And that's basically it. That's basically all I know about it, so I'm going in completely blind. I've just seen the trailer. Trailer looks cool. We'll see where it goes, right? If you're unfamiliar with the channel, if you're new here, then you're probably unfamiliar with the structure of those videos. Right now we're doing the intro. Then after the intro, we're gonna go through the anime with a timer down there so that YouTube doesn't copy strike me. Then we go through the episode itself here in the corner, skipping through, stopping by where something more needs to be said, maybe going frame by frame through animation, stuff like that. And for the first episode only, for the first video, we're also gonna go through the stuff, through the seiyuu, through all things like that. That's why this episode, this video is probably gonna be a little bit longer than the rest of the videos in the series. And then I'm gonna give my final thoughts about the episode, and the video ends. Sounds fine? Sounds fine. Okay, so I guess without further ado, we should just start watching, right? Shall we? And to do that, you're gonna need your subs to follow along with me, of course. I'm gonna need my, wrong way, sound to hear what's going on in the show. And I'm gonna have to ask you for support. Support the channel if you want monetarily on Patreon, YouTube down below, or not. Share my content, spread the word, costs you nothing and helps a lot. And with that, we can start watching Mecha-ude episode 1 in 3, 2, 1, go. It looked like he's moving backwards for a moment there. Oh, I thought it's white eye, but his pupil is off screen. I assume that's the arrival of the aliens? Or someone having a henshin. Is that the titular Mecha-ude? Are those aliens like those cube things? Okay. So not necessarily arms. She seems to be using like mechanical legs. Yeah. Okay. Nice bit of mechanical henshin. Okay, so arms after all. Who are you? Okay, another Mecha-ude wielder. Okay, so a classic theme of coexistence with the Mecha-ude versus using Mecha-ude as tools. Right? Something like that? Okay, and she's not alone. She has the thingamajig in her ear. So she probably belongs to some sort of an organization. And it's not just her going solo here. That's some animation they're showing. And not a bit of CG that I can tell. Well, besides the cube. I think that one is CG. The cube looking for a host. And the host has been found. I assume. Mechanical arms. Mecha-ude. Initially, I didn't think that the arms will be like their own character kind of thing. But apparently they have their own voice actors, so and we see that they speak and all. And immediately again, the Kiseiju vibes when he was leading, the dude was like going about his day, and then the arm just pops up here and there. Okay, maybe a little bit too loud. Very sketch looking opening. Everybody's color coded, of course, so we have an easier time telling who's who. Oh, can the arms separate themselves from their hosts? Yeah, seems to be the case. Interesting. I thought they really work more like parasites in Parasite. Waking up, and suddenly there's a new limb. Yeah, or. Well, Amazon drones. Live guitar show, yeah, of course. You gotta find a cover for that. Bit of social anxiety or something? Or what's going on here? Huh? He is known? Or does he look like someone who's known? Or I guess he wanted to give the seed to the pregnant woman but didn't and got an anxiety attack because of that? Is that him? No, he doesn't have the ponytail. So someone else. Looks fairly similar though. Okay, of course, she's tracking the cube. Turns out he has the cube. And he's forced to join the organization fighting the evil aliens. Okay. Uh, light waves invisible to cameras. Government tampering with people's devices. I don't know. Oh? Yeah, there it is. So, is he not the host yet? Is the cube just laying around somewhere here? And somehow he's the only one who can hear it because he's compatible with it, whatever that means. His Aufwachen waveforms are in sync. Yeah, okay, so tell him he can't be here and then just promptly fuck off and don't enforce that he can't be here. I'm assuming he has some like internal need to help, some bits of like heroism, but he's too shy and socially anxious to actually be helping people, right? And this is going to give him the power to actually help people. It's no longer gonna be just a dream, but a reality that he can like do. Kind of like Hibiki, right? Kind of like Hibiki. And they seem to both be orange yellow color themed. If you don't know who I'm talking about, then what the fuck are you doing with your life not having seen Symphogear? Go and watch Symphogear right fucking now. And she's a glutton. Oh, did the like hoodie save him in that the hoodie became the host and not his body? Kind of like in Kiseiju where Shinji like put a wire around his hand and it stopped the spread of Migi. Yeah, that's not CG. Mad props for that. Migi. Yeah, it's attached to his hoodie. But that's interesting. I thought it's the body that becomes the host. And the Amazon drones also spy for the government. That's an interesting choice of a weapon. Right, and the government was trying to dispatch them, and so they're gonna join the resistance instead. Right? More drones. More drones. Can't you shoot lasers maybe or something? That would be very useful in this situation. Trigger arm. So they have like proper names to them. I'm assuming this is his arm, the like thing armor on his fingers. Cat eyes. Or are all of them collectively called trigger arms? Yeah, good question. Arbitrium, meaning some sort of a magi technological substance that he has a lot of in his bloodstream or something. But the arm isn't connected to him, so why would arbitrium in his body matter? I mean, true. Oh, okay, so he like gets arbitrium from like proximity. He doesn't need to be attached to him, but he needs to be in close proximity to him. Okay, understandable. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, that's a heroic pose. Yeah, being attached to a hoodie is not the greatest attachment point. It really would be better if the arm became part of his body. Especially since seemingly you can, like, withdraw it into your body, right? Like the girl did with her thigh tattoos. Yeah, can squeeze through. Yeah, they can withdraw into the body. So yeah, being a part of the hoodie is really not the greatest. Especially if the arm weighs a lot and slows him down that way. I really can't tell whether those arms are really good CG or just properly hand drawn. Alma, so we have the name. Yeah, we can sneak out. Yeah, and he can squeeze through with his Mecha-ude. He's not limited like she is. Yeah, but your, like, inner desire to do good won over. If someone was in need of help, you wanted to help. Which is, again, very reminiscent of Hibiki. She didn't have to save that one girl, but she did. Granted, that wasn't what gave her the powers, but she didn't, like, take his cube? Interesting. Right. Yeah, his desire to do good, his desire to help, kinda won over in the end. Step forward, gain 2. Is he gonna, like, become a third party in this whole conflict? Oh? Second henshin! Would you look at that? That's a big hand. Easy. What was the subtitle of one of the seasons of Symphogear? Something about fisting. Not the desire to fist, the power to fist. Something like that. Okay, so I guess being attached to the hoodie is not quite as bad as I thought it would be. Hikaru, I'm assuming, It's like from light, shining, something like that, right? Like Hikari, maybe like light in the darkness, kind of sort of thing. So, oh, I thought that he might be like physically dependent on the arm, just like the arms are physically dependent on their hosts. The Rised. Hmm. Hmm. Interesting. It really seems like he's gonna be running away from both parties, from both the government, I assume the government or corporation or whatever, that sees Mecha-ude only as tools and weapons. And he's also gonna be running away from the resistance, I'm just gonna call it, who sees Mecha-ude as friends and partners. Mostly probably due to Aki being so incredibly aggressive about procuring Arma. Like, if she were to, stop by for a moment, talk to the dude, explain things to him, he probably would have joined the resistance in episode 1. But her goal was to retrieve the Mecha-ude, and she just kind of focused on that, kind of forgetting the human host in the whole entire process. That kind of begs the question if a Mecha-ude can be separated from the host. Right? Like, we know that Arma gets weaker when he's separated from Hikaru. What if there was someone else who has a lot of whatever particles or whatever is nearby? Like, would Arma be able to feed off Aki, for example? Yeah, again, Kiseiju vibes. Hiding Migi. Oh, she's a transfer student. Of course. Classic. Yeah, she knows where she wants to sit. Where did your chair come from? Yeah, okay. I mean, this seems cool from first episode alone. We'll see where it goes in the future, but I had fun, and that's what matters the most, I'd say. So, let's watch this episode again, shall we? And ahead of time, I'm gonna pull out this. If you're unfamiliar, it's my green book of theories. With every single show I watch, I note down whatever theories I have on the topic of that show, and then at the end we check how correct or incorrect I was about them. I'm already gonna make a section for Mecha-ude. Alrighty. Why did it seem to me like he's moving backwards? No, his legs are moving like in forwards direction. I guess I don't know. No, now that I look at it, he is moving forwards. So I've no clue why I got that impression. Maybe because of the frame rate and, right? Like how at specific frame rates, when you film a helicopter, it seems like the like fan, it's not a fan, but I forgot the word. It's like staying in place, right? Kind of like that, maybe? I don't know. Yeah, okay, so he can see this light, I'm assuming. Oh, he can see it. He's the only one who can see it. Because he has a lot of what was it, alternium, whatever kind of particles in his body. Yeah. Hikaru could see the light because of the, I'm just gonna say magic particles. Magic particles in his body. I forgot the name of them. I think something like alternium. No, alternium is from Counterside, so probably not that. And that also explains why this didn't show up on the camera. Presumably, cameras don't have these like alternium or whatever in them, so they cannot perceive this light. It was stolen by this girl. I didn't know initially what to think about the animation and art here. How do I word it best? I actually had a very similar comment during Dandadan, which is that art seems to be fairly simplistic here, right? There is no like special huge amounts of shading on anybody's faces. It's mostly everything is just, you know, plain swaths of color with a little bit like a single shadow on every single bit. Which is not a dig at it, because this sort of an art style lends itself really well to fast, dynamic animation, right? Because if a character is very detailed, then if you have to draw a lot of frames of that character, that requires a lot of time, a lot of money, a lot of effort. If the design is fairly simplistic, you can draw a lot of frames and a lot of dynamic animation, a lot of different poses in much shorter amount of time. Right, so it's this bit of a trade-off that absolutely makes sense. And the art style absolutely grew on me during the course of this this episode. Kinda sorta reminiscent of Fooly Cooly, a little bit. Kinda sorta reminiscent of what was the other show that also had a very like similar art style and also had lots of dynamic animation. Yeah, I can't recall the name. But yeah, Fooly Cooly, first thing that comes to mind, especially with the, you know, arm kind of sort of growing out of his back. I'm not sure about the CG, first thing that I'm not sure about. I really can't tell if it's really good CG. It actually might be really good CG. And again, the art style would lend itself well to good CG, because you can very easily tell bad CG, or you can very easily tell CG from hand drawn, because CG elements usually tend to have more details, right? They tend to have like tiny little shadows that an artist would not bother drawing, because those shadows don't really add much to the general aesthetic, but they exist because that's how light is shined on the model, so that's how the shadow gets cast, right? It's like physically accurate. CG models tend to have a lot of like shines and a lot of textures sometimes. But if they actually went for flat shading, which those arms of her are very flatly shaded, there is basically no shading or glow or anything. Or, well, there's glow, but there's no shading or like reflections or texture or anything. Then it could actually be CG. Or it could be rotoscoped. That's also a possibility. Although I think it's actually hand-drawn. Like, you can see some of the lines that, like, here in the... where would it be? Here in, like, the very bottom, you see the lines kind of cross. Here-ish, you can see, like, a double line, like, kind of double-sketched. Huh, I really can't tell. I think it's actually hand-drawn, though. I think it actually is, which, again, mad props for that. The particles seem to be CG, though, because there is like a lot of aliasing on them. But I mean, those are just particles, so it's whatever, ultimately. I wasn't sure about the animation initially either, during fights and action sequences in general. The animation is kind of very choppy. Well, not really. There is a lot of like main frames, like keyframes, and the animation kind of seems to jump between them at times, right? Like here, you see her flying forward, then another frame is a completely different pose, another frame completely different pose, completely different pose, completely different pose, right? It just kind of keeps jerking around without any like in-between smear frame, for example, that would suggest the movement, right? Instead of, yeah, I think that was what I felt here was missing. It's animated on ones, which is, again, very like fast way to animate it, but I wonder if it could actually benefit from being animated on twos and using, well, still animated on ones, but having those keyframes with poses being on twos, and in between them having a little bit of a smear frame or like an in-between animation or something that would suggest the movement that she's doing right now, right? Because it kind of seems like she's here, then here, then here, kind of just jumping between poses. Overall, though, I mean, hey, in movement, it actually does look good, but kind of hard to follow. I think that's the issue here. Because there is no suggestion of movement between frames, it's hard to follow how exactly she moves. Yeah. Still, cool. And we get a bit of a henshin. Yeah, that's hand-drawn. That's not CG. Mechanical henshin. Love me a good mechanical henshin. I gotta say, straight ahead. Again, kind of jumping between two states without anything particularly in between, but it's whatever, ultimately. Yeah, just a flash and then hands. It's no Symphogear henshin, but very few henshins hold a candle to Symphogear henshins, especially in later seasons. So, you know, it's kind of a elevated, I guess, I don't know, ideal to try to approach, but very few shows can actually approach it. Anti-Mecha-ude weaponry, because of course. I wonder who is this fight against exactly. Like, the fight here is between an organization that uses Mecha-ude as tools and an organization that uses Mecha-ude as partners, essentially, right? That's the idea. Initially, I was under the impression that it's going to be more Symphogear-like, in that it's not a PvP, so to speak, but rather PvE, right? Like, some Mecha-ude take humans over and control them like zombies, and there's the organization that uses, either uses the good Mecha-ude, maybe there's a conflict between different Mecha-ude, right? Like Autobots and Decepticons, for example, right? I thought it might be something like that. Or humanity learned how to use this technology and manipulate it and turn the captured evil Mecha-ude and turn them to the side of humanity. Something along those lines, right? But it seems to be more of a fight between an organization that uses Mecha-ude as tools and one that uses Mecha-ude, that treats Mecha-ude as partners and perhaps wants to free the enslaved Mecha-ude, essentially. Something like that seems to be the case. I'm just not sure who exactly those organizations are. Like, I know they exist, but I don't know if It's like the government, maybe. Is this dude a government goon? And the government wants to use the Mecha-ude to fight wars or whatever. And the rebellion wants Mecha-ude to be recognized with like human rights and whatnot. Or is this some sort of an evil cyberpunk corporation that discovered the Mecha-ude and wants to use them for their own gain, and the government is not even anywhere like involved? Or is the who I thought is the rebellion, or are they the government? Maybe. I don't know. You Mecha-ude aren't anything but tools to humans, right? It's ultimately a classic conflict. Granted, I can't quite recall another show, like a proper name of another show who would have like one side using aliens, ghosts, creatures, whatever as partners, and another using them as just weapons and tools. Does anything come to mind? Not really. Not really, but like I get the vibe and the feeling that I've seen plenty of anime with this sort of a premise, but I can't really name any. It's weird. If you can recall any other anime or manga or light novel or whatever that has a similar premise to that, let me know in the comments. I would like to refresh my memory because I remember watching one like that, but I can't really remember a name. Also interesting that Mecha-ude cannot be just arms, just hands, but can also turn into like weapons, proper nice weapons. I like this tidbit of her having the not the earring, the earpiece here, right? Because initially you don't see that, and you can kind of assume that she's some sort of a solo player, so to speak, right? That maybe it's some sort of a battle royale show where everybody is for themselves, everybody who has a Mecha-ude fights for themselves or something like that. But the fact that she has an earpiece immediately suggests that she belongs to some organization. She has some sort of a handler, someone giving her info. It's not stated explicitly, but we can immediately infer it. Cool, I like it. Sinis, Dex, those are the names of her arms. Bite. Ooh, that was a nice frame. Yeah. Yeah, this fight sequence is a little bit better than the sequence of her running through the vents or whatever. Right? Like you can, with smear frames and stuff like that, you can actually see the suggestion of movement, and you can actually follow the movement here. Right? See, this bit of a smear frame on her leg suggests that she's moving the leg, and in the next frame the leg actually moves. Still a little bit choppy at times, right? Like going from this pose immediately into this one. But, I mean, it's not supposed to be watched frame by frame, right? It's supposed to be watched in flow like that. And in flow, it works. It works. I'm gonna say, I was expecting much less from a crowdfunded anime. I was expecting fucking X-Arm here, to be perfectly honest with you. I got much more than I bargained for, like, already. So, any criticism I might have here, you know, take into account that it's a crowdfunded fucking anime. It's not made by Madhouse or whoever. It's not even... Is it based on a manga or anime or something? I think it's actually like anime original, and it was Oh no, it's based on a manga. Or is it? No. Oh, the manga is based on the anime. Gotcha. It's not often it happens. And the original run of Mecha-ude was an OVA, single 25-minute episode released all the way in 2018. Interesting. Yeah, now I wonder how much did the single OVA cover? Was the OVA just this single episode? Or was it like a, I don't know, the entire season just squeezed into 25 minutes? Probably not that. And yeah, the burst of alternium or whatever substance is, and he can see it. He immediately is marked, quote unquote, as the chosen one, as the one compatible. And holy shit, we're only just got to the opening. Good opening, good music. This is Arma. This is Hikaru's Mecha-ude, but blue. And this dude is blue. Are they like sister Mecha-ude? Like Kanade's Gangnir and Hibiki's Gangnir? Kinda sorta? Maybe? I don't know. What's his face? Elgis. And his arm name is Fist. I have a list of characters here on the second screen, if you're wondering where I read their names from. I sometimes forget the name of a character, and having a refresher like that is better than me stumbling over my words. Elgis's Fist is sister to Hikaru's Arma. Also, is Elgis the dude that was shown on those like billboards? Right, we've seen some. He has a different hairstyle, so probably not. Probably not. I like this style here. I really, in general, I'm a fan of this like very sketchy art style. Both in shows, I really like this like scratchy line art in particular. I don't know what it is about it, but I enjoyed it in Konosekai wa Fuganzan Sugiru a little bit. It wasn't as pronounced. I enjoyed it in what else had a similar art style? Handyman Saito, also kind of sorta. And there was some other show that also had Saihata no Paladin, at least season 1, also had this sort of an art style. I don't know why I enjoy it, but I do. I really do. Okay, so his arm is in his arm, or maybe in some sort of a bracer or something. Wouldn't surprise me if the group who sees Mecha-ude only as tools were attaching Mecha-ude to their like weapons and stuff, kind of like Hikaru's Arma is attached to his hoodie. Meanwhile, the Resistance, who believes in partnership, enters a sort of a symbiosis with those Mecha-ude, and they actually become parts of their bodies. Maybe. Actually. How do I even name those? I'm gonna say Tool Faction. Tool Faction attaches Mecha-ude to clothes and accessories. Resistance enters symbiosis as hosts. I'm probably gonna know what I mean by that. Now this is CG. This green stuff. I think. I'm not even sure about that, to be honest with you. And my headphones broke. There's no sound from the right one. Oh, now. Okay, the sound is back. I guess the like volume wheel broke or something. Yeah, everybody color-coded, so you can very easily follow who's who. Very interesting. This is probably the most interesting bit to me here, that Arma is not actually a part of his body, but a part of his hoodie. I can't say I've ever seen that. Honestly. We immediately see just how advanced the society, the civilization here is, right? It's not the year 2013 or whatever, it's the year probably like 2100 or something like that. Because we see drones everywhere, we see this very futuristic look, but at the same time, it's not like too futuristic. There is still monorail and stuff, so maybe not 2100, but like the 50s of the 21st century, or maybe something around those lines. Kagami Group. Sorry. Is Kagami Group the Tool faction? Kagami Group is evil. I think that might be them. I wonder what that was yesterday. Live guitar show? Yeah, probably not that. Which, like, initially I thought that it's just maybe government trying to cover the whole situation, right? Again, kind of like in Symphogear. Maybe I let Symphogear influence my viewing of this episode a little bit too much, but I really can't help but draw parallels between them. But it seems that it actually is just him. It actually is just Hikaru, who could see those particles, who could see those lights. Yeah. If you are near the priority seats, please turn your phone off when it is crowded. If you see any suspicious items on the train or at the station, please alert the station staff. Right. Yeah, I was really having trouble reading the situation here, but I think I have a better grasp at it. He was immersed in his phone and with his headphones, maybe just unknowingly, or maybe as like on purpose to avoid, someone asking for space or something like that. And right, then he noticed the pregnant lady. Then he noticed the old lady talking shit about him. But he tried to do the good thing, tried to give his space up, but then he heard the conversation. What a goody two shoes, but he's a hypocrite, right? How is he not embarrassed? A conversation that, granted, probably wasn't about him. Yeah. It absolutely was not about him. I initially thought that maybe it was his face on those posters and he's like well known or something. But no, it's a completely different person. And they are probably talking about the dude from the billboards and posters. But he just kind of took it as them talking about him. Which is how anxiety works. It really works that way. Like you're sitting at a McDonald's, eating a burger, and you see a group of people laughing next table over, and you immediately think they're laughing at you. That's how it works. You, I don't know, you walk on the street, and someone looks at you, and your first thought is, oh shit, is something wrong? Like, am I don't know, do I look sweaty? Are my hair like greasy, or do I have like a stain anywhere? Like, what's wrong? But they were just, glancing at you, not meaning anything by it. But your anxiety just, spins you into believing the worst possible scenario. I have experience with that. Yeah, it really seems to be that he wants to do good. He really wants to do good. But paradoxically, he stops himself from being good, from doing the good things, because he's too embarrassed to do them. Right? Too anxious to do them. And because he's not doing that, he becomes anxious that he didn't do that, and that only furthers his anxiety. Again, it's kind of how it works. And again, I have experience. Very often, you can sometimes notice that my episodes come out very late. They do. Sometimes on the next day after they were supposed to launch. They do. I am like ready to admit that, and terribly sorry for that. But it's also kind of how my brain works as well, right? Like I'm sitting there and thinking, oh, should I record the episode? Maybe should I record the video? And I'm like, I'm kind of tired. Maybe not, or maybe I should. Or maybe not, or maybe I should. And then I spend like 5 hours pondering whether I should record or not, and I grow more tired with that thinking, and then it's just self-fulfilling prophecy, essentially. And then I'm anxious about the fact that I haven't recorded, and that takes away my ability to record even more, and I need a reset of a good night's sleep, and on the next day I record what I was supposed to record yesterday. It's really not fun. It's really not fun living with something like that. So I can fully understand how his mind works. I want to do something, but I don't do it because of anxiety, and because I didn't do it because of anxiety, I grow even more anxious, which makes it even harder to do that thing, which makes me even more anxious, which makes it even more harder to do the thing ad infinitum. Yeah, and then over-explaining to just complete fucking strangers. Like, she doesn't know you. She doesn't give a fuck about you. But you're here, I remember I forgot something, I gotta get off, right? Like, trying to explain yourself. Oh, yeah, I it's not like I wasn't, like I was trying to stand up to give the space up, to give the seat. No, I wanted to get off, right? Which is probably what I also did right now, explaining to you why my videos are late sometimes. Yeah, and his friends kind of took him out of the zone. Yeah, something to distract his mind a little. Yakumo Kagami. Okay, so Yakumo Kagami is the dude from the posters, I assume. Yeah. Step forward to grasp it in your hands. We commoners are struggling because we can't even step forward. Yeah, kinda, sorta. And she's a glutton. We have the first personality trait for her. Yeah, I mean, he was gazing at the starry night, but not quite from his, balcony. I really was wondering what's up with this. Like, is the government tampering with people's devices? Is the, I don't know, is the government tampering with something else? I have no clue. But no, the easiest explanation here is that he just can see those things because he's attuned to them. And the camera is not attuned, it's just a machine, so it cannot see those things. Yeah, probably exactly what happened. I like his phone. In that it like fits the world here. It's not like overly techy. It's not like a translucent display popping out of his watch or something like that, but it's also not like too old. Very often I noticed, and it's not just in anime but also in games, in, well, less so books. Books are less of a visual medium, but like anime, manga, comics, movies, games, the action might be taking place in the year 2400 or whatever, and they would be using like monochromatic, glitchy, holographic displays, and their phones would be shaped like a brick, right? Which, like, I mean, right now we are using 4K or 8K OLED screens. Why would you replace that on your spaceship with a glitchy, monochromatic, holographic display that still just displays a flat sheath of information? So the fact that it's holographic doesn't even fucking matter. It's one of the things that kind of took me out of, took away a little bit of my immersion when playing Mass Effect, where all of the ads on pretty much everywhere were displayed on this like flat, holographic, glitchy displays instead of an 8K or 16K OLED screen. right? So I'm glad that technology seems to be very much like in line with what it seems to be. Love interest? Maybe? Childhood friend? Somebody help me. Yeah, a ghost. And he hears it again, but nobody does. Which again lets me know that he's probably some sort of an attuned. Cannot enter. So I'm assuming the Kagami Group, who I assume resides in this big ass skyscraper, have some sort of a control over the police. They can order a street to be closed off. Also, I just noticed, I like his eyes. Like Sanpaku eyes. They're not common, but I like them. I really like Saya from Dagashikashi, mostly because of her Sanpaku eyes, for example. And here's the cube. The cube from Cybertron. This is really interesting. It doesn't need a human host. The hoodie became the host. Again, probably the first time I see it. Not counting Kiseiju, which is only like kinda sorta, right? Where Migi was only allowed to take the left arm and not take over the entire body. But I haven't really seen like thing like that take host in an article of clothing or an accessory where it normally takes host in a human body. Yeah, predictably freaking out. And this is not CG. This is like properly drawn. Cool. Like, again, mad props for drawing something this complex mechanically by hand and not relegating it to CG. At least I don't think it's relegated to CG. Again, I could be mistaken. But they're doing a lot of bits of animation that would be quite hard to do in CG. So I think it's actually like hand-drawn. And the Amazon drones are, of course, armed. I'm assuming they're not Amazon drones. I'm assuming they're Kagami Group drones. And Kagami Group uses them to deliver parcels and to track down Rogue Mecha-ude. Yeah, Kagami Group. Possible ARMS member. I assume ARMS is the name of the resistance here. Bits and pieces of comedy. Gotta love that. We don't have time to relax. Right, we gotta work together, of course. And sure enough, Kagami Group resides in this big-ass skyscraper with like a double helix pattern on the ground. And oh, you know what the art style reminds me of here? Fucking Pokemon. I was about to say that everybody here looks like a Pokemon trainer. I mean, tell me they don't. Tell me this dude doesn't have like a, I don't know, earth gym or stone gym, and he uses his shiny onyx to dig for gold or something like that. Like, come on. He really looks like a fucking Pokemon trainer. And this girl, the rise with some unrelated human. I'm assuming derision means like merging with a human body. Someone from ARMS, most likely a civilian, right. Another dude with Sanpaku eyes. I guess this is just how art style here works in the show. Yeah, cool. He reminds me of the dude from Aono Exorcist. I don't know why I needed to mention that, but I kinda needed to. Yeah, gotta retrieve the arm. What are you? Yeah, can't remember his name, can't remember who he is. Again, kinda sorta reminiscent of Migi from Kiseiju. And Arbitrium. Yeah, not Alternium, Arbitrium. Those bits of animation are what I meant when I said things very hard to do in CG. Like, not impossible, but also not, like, super easy. Those bits of, like, bending, yeah, bending, flailing, wiggling, bits of, like, squish and stretch. Although the fact that there are no smears on it kind of make me think it might actually be CG. Actually, you know what? I don't care. It looks good. So all that matters. What's her name? Yeah, we don't know that yet. And right, Arbitrium. I'm gonna note it down because I'm gonna be mistaking it for Alternium all the time. Arbitrium. Arbitrium, which is a very interesting name. Like Arbitrium, arbiter, arbitration, something with judgment, judging, legal. Are Mecha-ude the arbiters from space who came here to judge humanity? I don't know. Probably not. Not even worth noting down, I don't think. I'll be fine if I get away from you. Yeah, but Arma will not be fine because he needs access to Arbitrium from proximity. Again, very interesting that it didn't need Hikaru as a host. It just needs proximity. Yeah, can't go through with her Mecha-ude, but thankfully they can get sucked in by her thighs, which is probably, again, a better deal than having the Mecha-ude attached to your hoodie, because you can lose your hoodie. Someone can rip off the hood or cut it off and take your Mecha-ude away from you. When the Mecha-ude is part of your body, it suddenly becomes a little bit harder to do. And much easier to conceal as well. And she's here. Yeah, not quite to help. To capture. It would be so easy to give us an upskirt panty shot here. I'm kind of glad they didn't. Again, it would be so easy to give us a lot of fan service here, but they didn't. Cool. I actually kind of like that fact. Again, I like me fan service for sure, but I'm glad. I like it when fan service is not like cheap, right? A girl runs into a boy, they both fall on the ground, and the girl's entirety of her fucking underwear is in plain view because somehow when falling down she managed to rip off her blazer or whatever, right? I'm not a huge fan of that. So I'm glad it's not that. Mistress Aki. You must first state that you are here to guard them. Right. So that is her, like, first precept, so to speak, to guard the Mecha-ude wielder. Having just a single arm actually makes it easy for him to run away, although she just kind of forgot, I guess, that she can withdraw them into her body. Young man, leave me behind. Yeah, but he won't, because he knows what happens when he leaves you behind. He knows that you wither and die, or at least go to sleep, or into a coma, or whatever. And he's too good to do that. This is interesting. First of all, that she was able to beat this guy this easily, right? I was under the impression that the Kagami Group is, like, strong and powerful and whatnot, but she had absolutely no issues winning this fight. Another bit, that she left the cube. Which kind of makes me think that once a Mecha-ude is attuned to someone, you can't, like, take it away and attune it to someone else, right? And because Aki and her entire organization are, like, friends of the Mecha-ude, she wouldn't want to kill this one. It's ultimately innocent here. It's being used as a weapon, but it's like it's having its will overwritten. It doesn't want necessarily to be a weapon like that, right? So taking it away and killing it in the process would just kill an innocent being, which is why she left it here with the enemy, instead of just disarming him and taking the cube away and ensuring that there is one less enemy here, one fewer enemy, right? She left it here because she cares about the Mecha-ude. I like this bit. I like this tidbit here, actually. Once a Mecha-ude is derised, they called it. I'm just gonna say attuned. Attuned to someone, you can't re-attune it to someone else. Yeah. Also, the fact that the cube is here as a cube means that it's not a part of his body, which again lends credence to my theory that the Kagami Group just uses the cubes as they are without allowing those cubes to merge with their bodies. It's pointless for us commoners to even try. Yeah, it's not pointless. If I leave you here, it'll leave a bad taste in my mouth. He is ultimately heroic. He ultimately wants to do good, and he finally broke through his bit of anxiety. And the Mecha-ude rewarded him with a bit of a henshin, with growing really big and getting a second eyelid. One punch! If I had $1 for every protagonist that uses big mechanical yellow fists to fight for their ideals of helping people, I would have $2, which isn't much, but it's weird it happened twice. Again, parallels to Hibiki, and this is absolutely CG. I just thought I'm going to mention that. Those very thin lines and bits of... yeah, the very thin lines, and... yeah, you can see the polygons on the eyeball, right? The eyeball is not perfectly round. It's made of straight lines. Same goes for the eyelid. Yeah, you can see the polygons here. Huh. Interesting that they would use CG for, like... Okay, not a single still frame. Because this bit here is also CG, because again, you can see the polygons on the eyeball. And again, they could have given us an upskirt panty shot, but they didn't. Cool. And now it's drawn, because the eyeball is perfectly round. Okay, cool. So they seem to be using CG in shots that don't really matter much, because they're only shown for like a couple of frames, and you're not like supposed to focus on that. And in shots in scenes where it actually matters, like here, where it's like in full plane focus, it's actually drawn. Good. That's how you should be using CG. Alma. Alma, Arma, L and R are the same letter in Japanese. And this dude got his trigger arm stolen. Apparently. By whom? I wonder. Was it stolen by Aki's organization? Was it stolen by the Kagami Group? I don't know. The boy who derised with Alma. I'm sure Kagami Group will quickly identify him. We must also act fast. And Edie. Yeah, again, very reminiscent of Kiseiju. And of course, she's the transfer student. Obviously. Yeah. It's gonna be a fun show. It's really gonna be a fun show. I have a feeling. So. Let's check. There we go. The stuff, the seiyuu, all things like that. First and foremost, the studio. Studio Trif. Can't say I heard much about them. No, is their list just empty? No, it's not. They made some sort of a music video, an O&A for something, another music video, yeah, the original OVA for Mecha-ude, another music video tied to Mecha-ude OVA somehow, and this is also tied to Mecha-ude, right? Because when you go to the OVA, you see Anono Secret and other also being listed as, yeah, shares a character with Anoko Secret and other ambivalent, which I'm assuming is like the full version of the opening or something like that, maybe. I don't know. So the studio didn't make much. This is their like very first foray into a full proper TV show. I mean, it's a very good first entry, I gotta say. Like, I've seen worse opening quote unquote shows. So for sure they like did a good job here. Absolutely. Action mecha sci-fi, superpower aliens, cyborg, motorcycles. Apparently, okay, we're gonna see some motorcycles. Recommendations: Kill La Kill. I can see that. Fully Coolly. Exactly what I talked about. Project Arms. I guess because of the name. I have no clue. I guess Project Arms is also like taking over an arm, so maybe. Gridman and Dynasium. I don't know why. Like a random civilian getting power. I have no clue. Scryed, which is again magic, you know, demon lord sealed into my arm kind of thing. And Metallic Rouge, probably because of the cyborg aspect. Okay. Next, I want to see the staff. Not much listed, so we're gonna be able to go through most of them. All of them, actually. Sae Okamoto, original plan and director. And all the other shows, all the other like MVs and OVAs of the studio as well. Interesting. And besides that, director on whatever this is, other director roles, and some CG animation roles as well. Not that huge of a portfolio. Premiered with her first independent animation. Okay. Ah, gotcha. So, okay. So was the studio who made the like crowdfunding thing? I think so. So like literally completely bootstrapped studio with people who just did some YouTube shorts for animation and just kind of grew from there. That's cool. That's cool. That's actually super dope. Hiroshi Matsuyama, chief supervisor, and Yasuhiro Nakanishi, series composition. Hiroshi Matsuyama, some story for some mangas, and original creator of some other mangas. Besides that, screenplay on Dot Hack, and mostly work on Dot Hack as a director, and this is like his new foray, I guess. One of the strongest influences behind the Dot Hack series. Huh. Interesting. They're getting some interesting people on board. Yasuhiro Nakanishi, series composition. For Mecha-ude, also for this one, which is, by the way, very good series. Highly recommend it. I'm not watching it because I've read the manga. Isekai Shikaku series composition as well. Shy second season. Shy first season. Kaguya-sama series composition. The like Hanako-kun thing. Digimon, sorry. Bang Dream. And I thought it was Ishizoku Reviewers, but no, it's some Irozuku something. Alright. Character design by Terumi Nishi and by Yoko Uchida. Terumi Nishi also worked on other videos by the studio. Kaminara Algorithm and others. And others. Started as in-between animation assistants for Utena, then in-between animations for Initial D, Then key animation, like you can see the development of his career here. Key animation on Love Hina, some episodes, and then just listed as animation director, and yeah, going from there. Any other show I recognize here? Mushishi, Tengen Toppa Guren Lagann key animation on a couple of episodes. One Piece, the movie, key animation. What else do we have here? Key animation on Panty and Stocking, episode 2B, but still a glowing recommendation, in my opinion. More Mushishi, Darling in the Franxx, another mecha kind of show. Some Jujutsu Kaisen, and some Saint Seiya shows. And then we have Yoko Uchida, also character design, also working on very similar shows. Again, Jujutsu Kaisen, again Jahi-sama, again Darling in the Franxx, again Mushishi, but also No Game No Life, some in-betweens, and second key animation on Demi-chan wa Kataritai, and character design on Precure. Cool. Like, they don't take just about anybody to work on Precure, so again, a good bit of portfolio. Music, Hiroyuki Sawano, also OP and ED, yeah, composition and arrangement, and Kota Yamamoto, music. Hiroyuki Sawano also did music for Fate, also Aono Exorcist, also Kingdom, also Shingeki no Kyojin, also Oyuki no Kaina. What else do we have here? More Shingeki no Kyojin, 86, No Guns Life, second season, Promare. Yeah, a lot of good shows. A lot of good shows under his belt. Cabaneri of the Iron Fortress, Aldo Noah Zero, second season, Kill la Kill, episode 25, Kill la Kill, main series, more Aono Exorcist. That's a glowing portfolio. And Kota Yamamoto, also some good shows, I can already tell. Nanatsu no Taizai, Kingdom, Aono Exorcist, again. What else do we have here? Also Oyuki no Kaina, also 86. Mostly the same shows, but fewer of them. Alright, we can expect some good music. I mean, the opening was already good, so... sound director, Takashi Takadera, and... sure, CG director, Shota Kawamura. Takashi Takadera, sound director, also for Konosekawa Fukazen Sugire. Also for... what else do we have here? Senpai is Annoying, or whatever is the English title, Eurocamp Season 2. Then we have Shota Kawamura, who just did this, and CG director on something, probably an MV or something like that. And then music, theme song lyrics by Kanon Yamamoto and by Benjamin Anderson. Kanon Yamamoto also did lyrics for Colors, insert song lyrics for episode 7 of Kill la Kill. If only I could remember what was the insert song in episode 7 specifically. I mean, it could have been anything, from Before My Body is Dry through Blumenkranz to Ping Pong Circulate, or whatever is the proper title of that. It's kind of hard to tell. Also Aldo Noah Zero, also Recreators. And Benjamin Anderson also did lyrics for Gundam Sengoku no Hathaway, for Promare, for Shingeki no Kyojin, again Recreators, and again Kill la Kill. Oh, I wanna know lyrics. Okay, I'm glad we actually got a good and proper title here. Also Owari no Seraph, and Cabaneri of the Iron Fortress. And then we have Kuhaku Gokko, theme song performance, and Senna Rin, lyrics for the ED. And she also did lyrics for Bleach and other shows I'm not familiar with. And Kuhaku Gokko also performed theme song for Platinum End and G-Frame which is a show I'm not familiar with. And that covers the staff. Interesting mixture of people who are fairly new to the like anime industry, like I mean Sae Okamoto, for example, but also a couple of people who have like a lot under their belt. Cool. I always like that mixture of like fresh blood combined with the veterans. Seiyu time. Hikaru and Aki, our mains. And I guess, yeah, let's start with them. Hikaru is voiced by Toshiyuki Toyonaga, who also voiced Bennett in Bye Bye Earth, someone in Bungo Stray Dogs, Popko, but who hasn't voiced Popuko. If you're unfamiliar with the meme of who hasn't voiced Popuko, if only AniList was loading. Here's everybody who voiced Popuko in Pop the Pipik, and here's everybody who voiced Popuko in Pop the Pipik Season 2 and in the special. A lot of people. Yeah. Then we have anybody else I wouldn't know? Yeah, Hikaru from the original OVA, which is good that they brought the original Seiyu. Someone from Hajime no Gal, someone from Digimon. I have to learn to like say it properly. Nobody I would recognize. Keita from SAO, I guess, just about vaguely. Oh, Mikago from Durarara. That's another familiar face, I guess. Yeah, and his career started in 2001 with Tennis no Oji-sama. Then we have Yu Shimamura voicing Aki, also voiced Sarah Fitzgerald in Metallic Rouge, also Josei Kisha in Boku no Hero Academia, also Leonhard in Shingeki no Kyojin. Who else do we have here? Also someone in Bungo Stray Dogs. Chise in Blue Archive. That's a familiar face. Minneapolis in Azure Lane. Again, Josei Kisha. Again, Aki in the original OVA. Good. Who else do we have here? Someone in Precure. Haven't seen Precure. I probably have to watch it one day. Don't I? Kurumi in Needless. Someone in Bleach. Couple of people in Bleach, actually. Okay. Let's check out their arms first before we get to other people. Tomokazu Sugita voicing Arma, and also the voice of Ryu's Grey Rat, the voice of Sasaki from Sasaki Topi-chan, the voice of Sakamoto from Sakamoto Days, the voice of motherfucking Gintoki Gintama, Gintoki Sakata from Gintama. Also the voice of Taro from Dandadan, Sengoku from Isekai Shikaku, Envilio from Shai, Ren from Konosuba Fukenzen Sugiru, and plenty of other more or less prominent roles. Ningen no O from Helk. He is really doing a lot of voice acting. Like, a lot. Who else do we have here? Escanor, of course, in Nanatsu no Taizai. The Lizard Priest in Goblin Slayer, more Gintoki, more Escanor. Yeah. And theme song performance, ED3 of Chobit. Oh, that's a bit of a surprise, to be honest with you. And Kaito Ishikawa, the voice of Naofumi Watani. The voice of Tenya from Boku no Hero Academia, the voice of Makoto from Konosuba Fukenzen Sugiru, Lance Crown from Mashle, Sakata from Seishin Butayaro, and other very prominent roles as well. Who else do we have here that would jump out at me? immediately. Someone from King's Raid, more Naofumi, more Tenya, Genos from One Punch Man, of course. And again, originally voiced Shinisu and Dekisu from Mecha-ude, the original OVA. It really seems like they took like very prominent voice actors for the arms more so than for the characters. A little bit. Jun Kagami, you haven't seen him yet, but let's check him out. And other people as well. Elgis, Amatsuki. Oh, Aoyuki! I'm glad I started watching this show for Aoyuki alone. Amaryllis and Yakumo. Let's just go through them all. Tsukihito doesn't have his voice listed. Romy Park. That's a very Japanese name, isn't it? Voicing Jun Kagami. Also voiced Clara in Delico's Nursery. Hange in Shingeki no Kyojin. Popuko, but who hasn't voiced Popuko? Who else do we have here that I would recognize? Not many people, to be perfectly honest with you. Someone from Beyblade. Akane Owari from Danganronpa. That's a familiar face. Naoto from Persona. Radio! The motherfucking Radio Kiryu in Kill la Kill. Okay. Alright. That's cool. Walter in Hellsing, apparently. Angelina in Kuroshitsuji, OVA. Temari in Naruto. Edward Elric in Fullmetal Alchemist. Yeah, they brought like a good cast of voice actors on board. Did they like break their crowdfunding goals and it was like a stretch goal or something to bring this much talent on board? Damn. Hiroki Touchi, the voice of Elgis. Also the voice of, who do we have here? Hyper in Soso no Frieren. Chris Redfield in Biohazard. Who else do we have that I would know? Vilk in Golden Kamuy, apparently. I didn't know Golden Kamuy went all the way to like European lands. Wilk is wolf in Polish. Zarius Ushasha in Overlord. Anybody else that I would know? Not particularly. Then we have Amatsuki voicing Todo. And not much more. Aoyuki, I mean, does she even need me to go through the list of the characters she voiced? I feel like I'm really just doing her some sort of a disrespect by trying to list all the people she voiced. Tanya Degrechav, of course, Pier Carlo in Sasaki Topi-chan, Madoka from Madoka Magica, Tsuyu from Boku no Hero Academia, Pascal from Nier Automata, more Pier Carlo, Mao Mao in Kusuri no Hitorigoto. She also voiced, Hibiki in Symphogear, of course. Who else? Nora Dunok in Witch from Mercury. More Tanya and plenty other roles. Yoko Hikasa, who is voicing Amaryllis, also voiced anybody I would know? I wonder. Or have I been missing out on the shows she was... Oh, Kelsey in Arknights. First familiar face, Maho, or Majo in Goblin Slayer. Who else? More Kelsey, or Kalsit, or however you want to pronounce it. I think the anime actually pronounces it at Kelsey, so I'm gonna stick to Kelsey. And yeah, that's a lot of roles. Someone in Bang Dream, Honolulu and Saint Louis in Azure Lane. And I'm not really that familiar with her other roles, to be perfectly honest with you, but there is a lot of them. and Kappei Yamaguchi voicing Yakumo, which I assume is the dude from the billboards and posters, voicing Kaito. Okay, Kaito Kuroba in Conan, and I'm assuming in Magic Kaito as well. I gotta rewatch Magic Kaito one of those days. It was a really good show. The newer one, at least. I haven't seen the older one. Oberon in Mahotsukai no Yome. Conan, of course, from Conan. Popuko, because who hasn't voiced Popuko? Usopp from One Piece. Who else do we have here? I mean, Usopp and Conan are just the most important roles here. I don't want to say the other roles don't matter, but they are kind of like a step above there. Okay. They really brought in a banger cast of voice actors. Like, surprisingly good cast of voice actors. Okay. Alright. That was episode 1 of Mecha-ude, and it was a good one. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it very, very much. I kinda came here expecting the quality of a crowd-funded show, right? Which is usually either a single episode that's done really well, or a full run that's not done really well, right? Like, what was the anime that Crunchyroll tried to make? Can't even remember the name of it, but yeah, right? I kind of expected something like that, and I got so much more than I bargained for. Like, good art, not like extremely exceptional, but very good and very stylized and has its own character. That's what matters the most, I think, right? It's not just a cookie cutter art style of 50 other shows. It has its own flavor to it, and I very much like it. Minimal use of CG, far as I can tell, which is another big thing. Anime done, I don't want to say anime done on the cheap, but it's common for indie, well, not even for indie anime. It's common to use CG to save on money, right? That's why plenty of anime, like Western anime that's been done by, I don't know, Netflix or whatever, tends to use CG. That's why X-Arm, for example, used a lot of CG, right? And other shows of this kind, because it's just cheap. And drawing, like such complex mechanical designs, is the opposite of cheap. It takes effort, it takes skill, it takes time, and they just gave it to us, right? They had the skill, the time, they gave the effort to give us something really good and really well animated. Like, sure, I got some mild criticism for some animation bits being hard to follow because of the lack of in-betweens and like suggestion of movement in smear frames and stuff. But ultimately, it's not that big of a deal. Ultimately, the animation still looks good as it runs. So, again, surprisingly high quality on just purely technical level. A banger cast of voice actors that I absolutely did not expect. I fully expected a crowd-funded anime to have like completely unknown names for voice actors. I expected maybe a cameo of some YouTuber or something like that. I expected people that had a single role in some MV, right? I expected this kind of thing. I did not expect Aoi Yuki and the other very prominent voice actors to be voicing pretty much everybody here. There was like, what? One single character that was voiced by a less prominent voice actor, right? Everybody else has a lot under their belt. So this anime really surprised me positively in that regard. Aside from technicalities, I enjoy its take on what is a classic, quote unquote, genre, right? The genre of a dude or a girl who's not involved with the war between X and Y finds a MacGuffin and thus has to join the fight and probably on the side of the X, because the X are the good guys and the Y are the bad guys, right? We've seen plenty. To not stray too far, I mean, Symphogear, right? First thing that comes to mind, of course. But plenty others of similar genre. Kiseiju, another thing, right? But this is fresh in some ways. It kind of feels like an homage in some ways as well, right? It's fresh in that Arma, for example, did not attach to Hikaru's body, but rather to his hoodie. I've not seen that happen pretty much ever. If you know any other anime of this genre where the power gets attached to not the main character but to an article of their clothing or something, let me know, because I'm actually curious if any other exists down in the comments. But that bit is new, the fact that he doesn't immediately get taken in by the good guys, but rather has a bit of an adversarial bad relationship with even the good guys, right? That bit is also new and fresh and unique. But at the same time, it really feels like an homage with, I mean, Aki joining as a transfer student. That's a classic. You can't tell me it's not a classic, because it is. And it's a very nice marriage of the both, of the new and the old. And the old doesn't even feel old, it doesn't feel regurgitated, right? It has its own spin, it has its own flavor, right? It has its own like layer of paint on top, which is good. I enjoy the characters. I really like Hikaru for probably the same reasons I really liked Hibiki. And I like Aki. I just hope she doesn't become this, like, you know, old school tsundere where she's just completely violent to Hikaru and there's no part of the dere. Assuming she even becomes a love interest, which is not a given. It's not even a given there is going to be a love interest, right? It doesn't have to be everywhere. It's cool. Yeah. Kind of hard to tell where exactly it's going to go from just a single episode. But I'm going to be waiting for another episode and I'm going to be watching it. And it's going to be something fun. It's going to be something fun for me to watch. And this thing, Mecha-ude and Dandadan come out on the same day. So Fridays are gonna be the fun day for me, it seems. Or Thursdays. I think they come out on Thursday. Whatever. Time zones are weird. Yeah, I'm gonna have a very fun day during week, and I couldn't be more glad about it. So I think that's gonna be it. I'm not going to be keeping you any longer. We're approaching 2 hours, so it's high time I finish this episode here. But you guys, you tell me, what did you think of this video? Yeah, of my video, and of this episode, most of all. Did you like it? Did you not? What is your take on, like, crowdfunded anime, stuff like that? I'm curious about your takes in the comments below. No spoilers, assuming you can't even spoil that. I don't know how much the OVA covered, but just in case if something is spoilery, you can tell me, well, you can discuss it on the Discord. I'm probably not gonna read it because it's a spoiler, right? But yeah, note in the comments, please. Like this video if you liked it, subscribe to be notified of future videos, not only Mecha-ude but also Dandadan. Click the bell to be notified of when those videos go out and when I go live, because I do sometimes, like during my seasonal stream, which you might check out the VOD of if you want. Support the channel if you want monetarily on Patreon or YouTube. On Patreon for just $1 you can get a role on the Discord and pays and credits, and on YouTube you can support me directly through membership, super thanks, super chats. And if you don't want to spend any money whatsoever, you don't have to. Share my content, spread the word, it costs absolutely nothing and really helps the channel a lot. There's plenty of visits to my channel from places like fucking BlackBerry forums for some reason. So, you know, share my videos on the BlackBerry forums. Why not? And right now, I'd say that's gonna be it from me for today. So as always, you guys do all the good stuff, and I'm gonna see you in the next one. Cheers! And here's my beautiful Patreons: QB, Zerene, Yuki Ale, Dr. Watt, Akama Sermarsh, Fassel, and Hans Peter. And you can join them if you want without having to be chased by a murderous girl, I guess.